Usually, it's one of those where I have to like, my brain is like,
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Kent County Levy Court Business Meeting Notice and Agenda, the Kent County Administrative Complex, 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware. Levy Court Chamber, Room 203, Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. At this point, I'll turn it over to Acting County Administrator Kevin Sipple.
Thank you, Madam President. This meeting is being held in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, in the Levy Court Chambers. We're also making it available via the internet through WebEx. Participants can join us by phone or by computer during the meeting. This will give opportunities for the public comment for those attending in person or online. When the President opens a public comment period, those attending in person may step forward to one of the two podiums and be recognized. If you're joining us by phone and wish to comment, please press *3, which will raise your electronic hand. Our operator will identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing *6 will mute or unmute your line. If you're online, you will see a hand and microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Please use those at appropriate times. We ask guests to begin public comments by stating your name and address for the record. The county attorney will administer an oath of affirmation to anyone giving testimony during a public hearing. We ask that public comments relate to the subject announced by the President. In addition to public hearings, there will be 2 public comment periods, one at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items and one near the end of the meeting for general comments. This meeting is being recorded and will follow the rules of procedure adopted by the Levy Court as well as the Mason Rules of Order. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. I would ask Commissioner Pepper to do the invocation, Commissioner Paul Hertz to do the pledge, Commissioner Sweeney to do the moment of silence for our troops and responders. Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together tonight, and please watch over us as we make important decisions for the county. Please help us make the best decisions that we can possibly make with the information that's provided. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have given their lives in the line of duty. Please remember these individual first responders who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved one. Deputy Sheriff Jesus Vargas from the Brazoria County Sheriff's Department of Texas. Sergeant Mark Butler from the Navasota Police Department, Texas. Border Patrol Agent David Malin from the Customs and Border Protection, Newport, Vermont. Captain Adam Kuspa from the Elkhart Fire Department, Indiana. Firefighter Jeffrey Fiala from the Honolulu Fire Department, Hawaii. Master Firefighter Christopher Higgins, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services, Gaithersburg, Maryland. Firefighter William Nix from the Thomasville Volunteer Fire Department, Birch Tree, Missouri, and Medical Captain Roger Lathrop from the Big Elm Volunteer Fire Department in Millerton, Pennsylvania. Also, This past week has been pretty rough for our local fire departments. We lost 5 of our friends. Ralph Satterfield from the Magnolia Volunteer Fire Department, Kenny Ryder from the Felton Volunteer Fire Department, Bill Betts from the Frederica Volunteer Fire Department, Alan Moore Jr. from the Dover Fire Department, and Dave Snell from the Magnolia Volunteer Fire Department. Please keep these gentlemen, these sheriffs, firefighters, agents in your hearts and prayers. Keep their families in your thoughts and prayers as they are dealing with the loss of their loved ones and our friends. Thank you.
Ms. Tanaka, roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Here.
Mr. Pepper,
Here.
Mr. Scott,
Here.
Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Mrs. Maston,
Here. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the current agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Pepper, second by Commissioner Scott. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Consent agenda 2501, need a motion to accept?
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Pepper. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
At this point, we open up to the public for any comments on agenda items. That's any item that does not have a public hearing assigned. Do I have any comments from the floor? Mr. Kennedy, any comments from those on the line?
We have no members online at this time, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll go into presentations. Resolution 4084, Ms. Tanaka.
Resolution 4084, retirement of Anna I. Iturriaga. Whereas the retirement of Anna I. Iturriaga, an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from her duties as custodian in the Administration Department, Facilities Management Section, presents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Anna I. Iturriaga as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Kent express its warmest appreciation and thanks to Anna I. Iturriaga for the able and loyal manner in which she performed her public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be her evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the January 28, 2025 meeting, the Kent County Levy Court.
Do we have a motion to accept Resolution 4084?
So moved,
To
Madam President.
accept.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Scott. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Resolution 4086, Ms. Tanaka.
Resolution 4086, retirement of Velvet J. Clink Scales. Whereas the retirement of Velvet J. Clink Scales, an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from her duties as custodian in the Administration Department, Facilities Management Section, presents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Velvet J. Clink Scales as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Kent expresses its warmest appreciation and thanks to Velvet J. Clink Scales for the able and loyal manner in which she performed her public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be her evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the January 28, 2025 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Motion to accept Resolution 4086.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pepper, second by Commissioner Scott. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Next on our agenda is the Employee of the Month, Ms. Tanaka.
February 2025 Employee of the Month, Robert Daddio. Kent County Department heads have selected Robert Daddio from the Kent County Sheriff's Office as the February 2025 Employee of the Month. Bob is the Chief Deputy Sheriff in the Sheriff's Office and started in February 2023. He began his career with the county after serving 29 years with the Delaware State Police, 20 of those years in the position of CSI detective. As the chief deputy, his responsibilities include overseeing the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office, managing staff, budgets, and resources, training deputies in office, court procedures, and service techniques, enforcing superior and chancery court orders and judgments, and serves civil and criminal processes. Bob recently demonstrated great courage and composure in a very tense, dangerous, and potentially life-threatening situation occurring on September 13th, 2024, while attempting to perform service at a location in Harrington. With additional assistance from Officers Sapp and Stubb, Bob was able to employ his many years of law enforcement experience and critical thinking in negotiating with a suicidal subject, excuse me, and ultimately helping to de-escalate the situation, ensuring everyone's safety. According to Sheriff Norman Barlow, Bob's bravery played a pivotal role in bringing a peaceful resolution to a dangerous situation. His actions exemplify the professionalism, courage, and teamwork that make him an invaluable member of the department. His commitment to duty and safety, not only to his fellow officers, but also to the community he serves, embodies the core values of our department and the county. Congratulations, Bob, on the job well done. And he resides in Commissioner Scott's and Pepper's districts, and the tribute reads, Kent County Levy Court, February 2025 Employee of the Month, Robert Daddio. On this, the 28th day of January 2025, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Robert D. Daddio, Chief Deputy Sheriff, Kent County Sheriff's Office, for his exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Would you all join me down front, please? Oh, thank you. One, two, three. Certainly, Bob, there's not too much anybody can say that's not already written here. I can say that for being here 2 years, you've done an exceptional job, and certainly the bravery that you exhibited in Harrington in a very, very stressful situation goes to show that the training that you've gotten through the Delaware State Police certainly paid benefits to everybody. I can only tell you on behalf of the Kent County Levy Court, we certainly appreciate everything that you do here, and certainly look forward to you being here many more years.
Well, congratulations, Bobby. Been doing a great job. The department's running very smoothly. The rest of the deputies have learned a lot from you, and we appreciate you being here. So thank you. Keep up the good work. We appreciate you.
I don't know what the other chief deputies before you done, but the 2 years I've seen you here, the work that you put in, the after-hours work, you're the man. That's all I can say. Congratulations.
Bob, congratulations on behalf of all the employees here with the county of getting this recognition of the February Employee of the Month. I get the opportunity to walk around the first floor, and every time I go by Bob's cubicle, he's got a smile on his face, always happy to be at work, happy working with the other sheriffs. Congratulations.
Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Madam President. Bob, it's always a pleasure. Very well deserved, very well earned. You carry yourself well, and you present for the county very well. So thank you for all your service and all that you do.
Bob, congratulations. The thing that Lori read says it all. You give back to the county, you give back to the people who live here, and that's why you're well deserving of this award. You represent the sheriff's office, and I'm sure Sheriff is going to say something in a minute about that. Nice job, and thank you very much for your service.
Yeah, I think everybody said everything, but Bob, I do appreciate everything you do. You keep everything rolling good. You're definitely a good teammate, and proud of you, and thank you for that day in Harrington, because all the years of experience, it could have went the other way. And I know the Harrington officers and Harrington PD were grateful to have you there that day, and we're grateful to have you at the sheriff's office. You do a tremendous job, and thanks for everybody coming tonight to show support to Bob, because we appreciate you. Congratulations.
Your turn.
Well, I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate Norman, Sheriff Barlow, with the nomination. Obviously, I mean, he's a great face for the sheriff's office, but most of all, honestly, it's all right there. The three deputies, Chris, Kenny, Mac, and you got in the office Katrina, Denise, Mary Ann, and then Margot and Wendy show up, who, you know, pass from the sheriff's office. I mean, that says it all. To me, that's more important than any award.
Would you like to speak?
No.
Sure. Robert? Congratulations on job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think Trudy.
You might as well stay down. Sorry.
Trudy?
Come on back. Good evening. We had 42 employees that had the honor of receiving perfect attendance in 2024. And tonight we have 5 here that will be honored. So the first is Kevin Sipple, our acting county administrator. We have Mr. Kenneth Anderson, Senior of the Sheriff's Office. Would you please come down and see me before you go? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We have Robert Daddio of the Sheriff's Office.
This way. Congratulations, sir.
Christian White of the Sheriff's
This way.
Office. Congratulations. And Robert Watts from the Department of Public Safety.
Thank you for everything, Chris. Sheriffs. They like Norm.
He's fleeing from your district.
Not yet.
Thank you all for your dedication. I see we have most of the Sheriff's Office staff, so we work you all the time, evidently, but no, seriously, thank you all for the work that you do, the hours that you put in. We appreciate everything that you've done.
Come on, you have to go too. Thank you, sir.
She's still using film.
Thanks, Mark.
She's on her way.
At this point in our meeting, we're going to open for public hearings. The first one is a petition to amend the comprehensive plan map and zoning map, ordinance LC 24-36. Ms. Kiefer?
Good evening, Commissioners. Before we begin the hearings, just a word about how the hearings tonight will be conducted. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the levy court. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. For each application before the levy court, the president will introduce the application. Then the levy court will receive testimony from all of those in favor. Testimony will then be received from those who may be opposed. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on the application will be closed, and the levy court will take what action it deems appropriate. Levy court's decision will be based upon public hearing testimony given at this meeting and a recommendation submitted to the levy court by the Regional Planning Commission. I would ask that that recommendation be included by reference in the permanent record of this meeting established by the clerk of the peace. The public notice of this hearing was published in the January 8th, 2025 edition of the Delaware State News. The first application before the levy court tonight, ordinance LC 2436, is indeed a rezoning application. The site is split zoned currently between AR agricultural residential and BG general business. The proposal is to rezone entirely to BG. The entire property is 1 acre. The area of petition is 0.6 of an acre. It's on the north side of Mudmill Road, west of Willow Tree Circle, west of Camden. The Regional Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval of the rezoning, citing the relatively small size of the area, which would limit the intensity of any future commercial development, and that the proposed rezoning classification is not entirely out of character with the surrounding area. So this does come to levy court with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. At this point, we open it up for the public. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward and be sworn in. Mr. Kennedy, is there anyone on the line?
Still no members from the public online at this time, Madam President.
Is there anyone in the audience who would speak not in favor of this motion? Please come forward and be sworn in. Mr. Kennedy, is there anyone on the line?
Still no one on the line at this time.
At this point, we will close the public hearing for this petition and roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, I need a motion. I apologize. I need a motion.
Don't we need to hear from the opponents?
I'm sorry, sir?
Don't we need to hear from the opposition?
I didn't have anybody. Okay. Mr. Scott, could you read a motion, please?
I move that the levy court grant approval of ordinance LC 24-36, amending the zoning map from BG general business and AR agricultural residential low density to residential BG general business located outside the growth zone overlay district. This is based on Exhibit A, RPC recommendation report dated January 28th, 2025. Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated January 9th, 2025. Public hearing testimony given tonight.
Motion by Commissioner Scott. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hertz. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
The next public hearing, petition for conditional use requiring site plan approval. Mrs. Kiefer.
Application CS 2501 is a conditional use with site plan application for a water tower. It should be noted this is actually a replacement water tower on the site. The site is zoned AC, agricultural conservation. The area of petition is just 0.3 acres on the west side of Locust Grove Road, south of Sorghum Mill Road, south of Dover. The Regional Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval including the requested waiver from the various setbacks for water towers, again citing that this is a replacement and the location keeps it as far away from residential uses as possible. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Okay, at this point, I would ask anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of application CS 2501 to come forward, please.
Good evening, Madam President, fellow commissioners. Elio Batista Jr.,
Sir, you have to be sworn or affirmed.
Delaware lawyer, doesn't need to be sworn. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
As I was saying, Elio Batista Jr., Parkowski, Gherkin, Swayze, Dover, Delaware, representing Tidewater. We're here with respect to Tidewater's application to install a replacement tower on the west side of Locust Grove Road to replace the existing tower, which has been decommissioned for well over 20 years now. Due to the growing need of the community, the service area with respect to this particular location is about 20,000 plus consumers. Therefore, there is a need for an enhanced water tower, not only to meet the need, but also to aid in any fire protection requirements that may be needed. We're here today after going before the Board of Adjustment to get approval of variances, and also the Regional Planning Commission, as indicated, has also approved the waivers for the setbacks. We have been working consistently throughout this process with the staff to ensure an orderly process, and we're here today to get final approval. You're not here to listen to a lawyer talk unless it's Mr. Eliason, so I'm going to cede the podium to Mr. Robert Palmer from Beacon Engineering to show you and explain what we're asking for and why.
Good evening, Madam President, Commissioners, staff. For the record, my name is Bob Palmer with Beacon Engineering. Address is 23318 Cedar Lane, Georgetown, representing the applicant Tidewater Utilities.
Mr. Palmer, do you swear or affirm, sir, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So good evening, everybody. As Mr. Batista said and Ms. Kiefer said, we are here tonight requesting conditional use with site plan approval for construction of a 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank that would replace an existing tower that was built in the 1970s. This slide shows an overview of the site plan. The magenta line represents the overall property where the water tower, the existing water tower, is situated. And in the southeasterly corner is the location of the elevated storage tank easement that Tidewater Utilities has. And you can see the existing water tower in the inset. This plan represents essentially a demolition plan. With the existing water tower, there's a fence that's in, a dilapidated fence that's in poor condition. We have an existing ground storage tank, and this exhibit essentially represents the demolition that would take place. We'll be cleaning the site in preparation for building the new water tower. The existing water tower, as I said, will be demolished, but the foundation will remain, and that's part of the reason for the variances that we requested from the Board of Adjustment with regard to setbacks. Our intent is to reuse the existing foundation and improve it so that it will support the new structure. This represents the site plan. The magenta line is the exhibit, the easement area. The light blue line represents the existing water mains that Tidewater Utilities has in this area. And on the southerly property line towards the bottom of the exhibit, you'll see the light blue line kind of comes into the property and turns dark blue. That dark blue line represents the connection to the new water tower. And while the Board of Adjustment granted a variance, a pretty substantial variance from the front and side yard setbacks, the setback is actually measured from the equator, or the widest part of the tower, which is 100 and some feet in the air. The actual base of the proposed water tower will actually be farther from Locust Grove Road than the existing leg tank, just due to the nature of how how the pedestal spheroid style tanks are constructed. Those 3 green circles represent the required tree planting for the to meet the forestation requirements. This exhibit shows a kind of a cross-section of the water tower. The Board of Adjustment granted variance to allow a 42 by 16 on-premise sign at the on the water ball. The overall tower is 160 feet tall, and the reason for that height, again, prior presentations to the levy court, we need that height in order to provide the system pressure that's needed in order to support the domestic demands and then also meet the fire protection requirements. And as Mr. Batista said, there are roughly 20,000 customers in this particular district. The reason why we're demolishing the existing water tower and why it has been out of service for so many years is simply because that water tower is not tall enough. So if we were to turn that water tower on, the water system would actually fill that water tower to the point of overflowing, and that would be a waste of water. And there's based on the height of the tower, there isn't a feasible way to make use of it, which is the reason for the demolition and proposed replacement. You know, I like to give real world examples, and again, I apologize, this isn't a Kent County tower, but this is a tower that we designed back in the 1990s for the city of Rehoboth Beach. Like the proposed tower at the Eagle Meadows site, this is a 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank. Unlike the tower proposed at Eagle Meadows, this tower is 10 feet shorter. It's only 150 feet tall, so it gives you kind of an area and bulk and scale of what it is that we're after. This slide represents the waiver requests, and the red lines represent the front yard and side yard setbacks that are prescribed in the code. The green lines represent the Chapter 187 setbacks from property lines, the 50-foot setback. And so you can see meeting that 50-foot setback pushes the water tower closer to the residential area in the northwesterly corner of the site. And while that may be a reasonable solution, the 100-foot setback from the 100-foot isolation distance from residential dwelling setbacks, we struggled with somewhat because we're actually pushing in order to comply with those setbacks, we would actually be pushing the water tower further into the community. Potentially, well, we would be consuming additional open space, and it just didn't seem to make sense to attempt to comply with that. So essentially the setbacks can't be accommodated within the existing easement. We would be potentially adversely affecting the community as a whole because moving the tower closer to the residential dwellings, we would be moving further into the open space, which seems to be counter to what we would be trying to do here. And by constructing the tower in the location that we've proposed it, we're essentially complying with the variances that the Board of Adjustment granted for the front and side yard setbacks. So with that, I'll stop talking and ask if you folks have any questions.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Palmer? Commissioner Hertz?
Yeah, I just got one. If this tower's been out of commission 20 years, where's your water supply coming from?
So there are other water towers in this district. There's a tower at the Postal Wait School, Garrison's Lake. That's in this district, right? Woodfield, sorry. So there are 2 existing water towers in this district, and this would be the third to complete the planning that Tidewater has done for the next 10 or 20 years or so.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Ms. Pollard, thanks for coming out. Just curiosity.
Sure.
This seems to be very much a very different tower than you had before. Is it newer technology or just what you guys have changed to because of what you learned in Rehoboth or?
Sure, good question. It's a matter of economy. The leg style towers, and I don't have an exhibit for that, but I think it's in the staff had us a picture of it. There are a lot of, when you paint a steel structure, any place where there's a sharp edge or a corner is a potential point of coating failure. And so the leg style tower that exists there, the double ellipsoidal is the name of that style. It's an older technology. It isn't obsolete, but it carries with it a higher degree of operation and maintenance because of all of the corners and potential failure points for the coating system. With the pedestal spheroid style tower, there essentially are all smooth edges, and while no water tower goes without maintenance, the pedestal spheroid style has the least amount of maintenance because the longevity of the coating system. So that's primarily the reason for selecting that style tank.
So the attorney mentioned 40,000 customers. Is that customers because Tidewater owns the water rights from somewhere around Woodfield all the way to nearly Lebanon?
20,000, yes, sir,
20,000.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And with the height, no restrictions imposed because of the Dover Air Force Base or anything like that?
I suspect there will be. I believe we're outside of the glide path. We're outside of that 20,000 foot perimeter, but we will conduct an a study with the FAA, and my sense is that the tower will be fitted with the double obstruction lighting, the flashing red lights that you typically see on tall structures.
Yeah, and the land around there is, at least to the south, is all agricultural, so there will be some plains, I'm sure, that are.
Yes, sir.
There's already a tower there, so it's not like
Right.
you're putting anything new in place.
Yep.
Other than that,
Aerial spring.
you know, other than the variances that were already granted, you're aware of all the conditions that have to go with towers, and you guys
Yes,
are
sir.
okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pepper?
Thank you. Commissioner Sweeney asked one question I was going to ask, but this one's not so much to do with this tower, but a little bit of interest. How come some of the towers designed this way, around the lower part of it, they have mildew on them? And a couple towers further south from here seem to always have it on there, but other towers don't. So is there a reason, or is it the coating, or?
Sure. There are a number of reasons. Towers that are close to wooded areas have a tendency to mildew. Unkept, they will all mildew because the water in the tower is typically cooler than the outside air, and so there's a much like a glass in your, on a hot summer day, a cold glass of water will there will be condensation that will form. That happens on water towers, and it happens frequently throughout the day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day as the temperatures rise and fall. The towers that you see that don't have the mold on them are likely washed on a more frequent basis than the other towers. That would be my assumption.
So it's just as simple as that?
Yes, sir. Power washer and a scissor lift, or cranes and baskets hanging off the water tower. There are they're called painter's rings, and you can see around the bottom of the tower there are 2 painter's rings, and so the maintenance staff would get into a basket, if you will, and work around the tower and power wash it just like you would a house.
Sounds like a job for somebody else. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes. I think this is probably just more of a question because I've had a couple of experiences this past year with a couple of water towers with the skirting blowing off of it. One was here in Magnolia. The bottom skirting had blown off in the area of a playground, and we were getting crushed with calls because of safety. We reached out to Tidewater, and they advised us that they had rented or leased that portion to Verizon, I think. Does that make sense?
No, I'm not familiar with the skirting. I do have Greg Corey from Tidewater Utilities. I don't know if he has any knowledge of that application. What town?
Magnolia. It might be Artesian. It was general question in reference to tower. It's not owned by the city, but it would be Artesian or Tidewater. But my question is, do you guys do that as well? You lease portions of the tower out to like Verizon and stuff?
Tidewater has leased tower space for cell service. I'm not sure that that's planned for this tower at this time.
We don't have any, at this point, communications or requests for that service.
I apologize, Mr. Scott. I wanted to make sure I understood the requirements from Ms. Kiefer. Mr. Corey has just told me that there are no plans at this time for cell service on this tower.
Yeah, which really it's no bearing to me. My bigger concern is if we can figure out a way when there is a problem, such as the skirting coming off of a tower, whether it was yours or Artesian's.
Sure.
If there's a way that we can have a quicker process for contact and communication to get it repaired.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
If it's something you can maybe just keep in the back of your mind, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'd actually like to talk with you later about this because I'm not familiar with the skirting that you're referencing. Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Palmer? Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward. Mr. Kennedy, anyone on the line?
We have no members from the general public online at this time, Madam President.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to application CS 2501? Please come forward. No one on the line?
Still no one online at this time, Madam President.
Okay, we'll close this part of the public hearing, and I would ask Commissioner Sweeney for a motion.
Move to approve application CS-25-01, Tidewater Utilities Eagle Meadows Water Tower, based on the RPC recommendation to approve, staff recommendation to approve, no public opposition, replacing a currently decommissioned tower to improve service for residents and service to our fire hydrants, and includes approval of the waiver from 187-53-1- or subsection 4, requiring above-ground water towers to be 50 feet from parcel lines and 100 feet from nearest residential dwelling setback lines, based on Exhibit A from the RPC recommendation report dated January 28th, 2025, and Exhibit B from the public hearing testimony dated January 9th, 2025, and the public testimony from tonight.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sweeney, or Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Scott. Roll call.
Mr. Angel? Absent. Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, based on Commissioner Sweeney's comments.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on RPC and staff recommendation.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per my motion.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Moving on to resolutions extending the Stormwater Maintenance District. Mr. Scott, Resolution 4081.
Ms. Kiefer.
Thank you, Commissioner. Resolution 4081 is an extension of the Stormwater Maintenance District for the Schoolhouse Village subdivision. A majority of lot owners have petitioned in the affirmative. We have the operation and maintenance plan from the Kent Conservation District. It meets all requirements for joining the district. Staff recommends approval. It should be noted that since we're at the end of January, billing for this will occur next August in the next tax billing. So again, staff recommends approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of Resolution 4081? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name's Pete Stewart. I live at 134 Greens Branch Lane, Smyrna, Delaware.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Proceed.
Sir, what was your name again?
Pete Stewart.
Pete Stewart, thank you.
Yes. And I'm the president of Schoolhouse Village. We've been trying to get on the program for a while. I believe, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but I believe 35 or 40 homeowners agreed to it. And being such a small community and getting people involved, it would make our life a lot easier if the money for that maintenance comes right out of our taxes, which most of the homeowners agreed. So I think that's all I have to say. Any questions?
Thank you. Anyone else in favor of Resolution 4081, please come forward. No one on the line, Mr. Kennedy?
Still no one online at this time, Madam President.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition of Resolution 4081? Please come forward. Since there's no one here, we'll close that point of, or that part of the hearing, and we'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 4081. Madam
Second.
President.
Motion by Commissioner Pepper, second by Commissioner Hertz. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Mr. Scott, Resolution 4082.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Kiefer?
Resolution 4082 is for the inclusion of the Cattail Creek subdivision into the Stormwater Maintenance District. The subdivision is currently in sole ownership. It is not currently developed, so it should be noted that even if it is pulled into the district this evening, the district will not accept responsibility for maintenance until the project is completed and the Conservation District has signed off on construction. So this just gets this started, and then when the project is complete, then we start billing and we start being responsible for maintenance. Meets all of the criteria for joining. Staff recommends approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of Resolution 4082? Please come forward. Mr. Kennedy?
Still no one online at this time, Madam President.
Is there anyone here who would speak in opposition of Resolution 4082? Please come forward. This part of the public hearing is closed, and I turn to Commissioner Scott for a motion.
Thank you, Madam President. Finding that the proposed stormwater maintenance district expansion is adequate and appropriate, that all of the property owners within the district are benefited directly or indirectly thereby, and that it is the public interest to extend the stormwater maintenance district in the manner proposed, I move to approve Resolution 4082, creating the Cattail Creek Stormwater Maintenance District.
Second.
Motioned. Second, Commissioner Pepper. Roll call.
Mr. Angel, absent. Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on staff and RPC recommendation.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Next public hearing is an ordinance to establishment of the annual stormwater maintenance district fee. Mr. Scott?
Thank you, Madam President. It's an ordinance LC 24-31, an ordinance amending 128 Article 11, fees enumerated 128-42 Department of Planning Services to establish the annual stormwater maintenance district fee charged by the levy court beginning in fiscal year 2026, tax year 2025.
Is there anyone here who would speak in favor of ordinance LC 24-31? Please come forward. Anyone on the line?
Still no one online at this time, Madam President.
Anyone here who wants to speak in opposition of ordinance LC 24-31? Please come forward. Seeing there's no one in opposition, Mr. Scott, or Commissioner Scott, motion please.
Make a motion for ordinance LC 24-31, an ordinance amending 128 Article 11, fees enumerated 128-42, Department of Planning Services to establish an annual stormwater maintenance district fee charged by the levy court beginning in fiscal year 2026, tax year 2025.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hertz. Roll call.
Mr. Angel absent. Mr. Hall absent. Mr. Hertz.
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes, based on staff recommendation.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Thank you. At this point, we will close the public hearings. Is there any old business? New business, Mr. Scott?
Thank you, Madam President. Introduction of ordinance LC 25-01, an ordinance to amend and implement Kent County Code Chapter 177 property, purchase of sale of Article 2, sheriff's sale, Article 177-2, registration required and deposit requirements for public hearing on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Mr. Scott, introduction of Resolution 4085.
Introduction of Resolution 4085, a resolution to extend the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District pursuant to Chapter 52, Title 9 of the Delaware Code in Section 90-4E 10, Chapter 187 of Kent County Code, SWM-23-05, Estates of Verona Woods for public hearing on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Other business, Mr. Scott, Commissioner Scott?
This time, I will move to go into executive session immediately following the committee meeting workshop on February the 4th, 2025, for a preliminary discussion on site acquisition for a publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation and personal matters pursuant to 29 Delaware C 10004 B2, 4, and 9.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Pepper. Roll call.
Mr. Angel absent. Mr. Hall absent. Mr. Hertz.
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Mrs. Maston.
Yes.
Madam President, roll call reveals 5 yeas, 2 absent.
Does anyone have any information items? Once again, we open this up for public comments. Anyone have any public comments to share with us? Any commissioner comments?
Madam President, just like to congratulate Commissioner Sweeney on his award that he just received.
Congratulations, Commissioner Sweeney. Any other commissioner comments? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
You're adjourned.
Thanks for moving my computer.
You got it, yep. Gonna be around tomorrow? Yeah, I have a wedding and then I'm gonna go